I never thought I'd be the one to have a near-death experience. Me, Emily Thompson, a 32-year-old accountant from Chicago, living a perfectly ordinary life. But on that fateful Friday evening, everything changed in ways I could never have imagined. It was supposed to be a routine drive home from work. The spring rain had just started, creating a light mist on my windshield. Then, in a split second, everything went sideways. Literally, a truck coming from the opposite direction hydroplaned, crossing the median and slamming into my car head-on. The world became a cacophony of screeching tires, shattering glass and twisting metal. I felt a sharp pain, then nothing. The next thing I knew, I was floating above my crumpled car. It was the strangest sensation. I could see everything happening below me, but I felt completely detached from it all. I saw paramedics working frantically, pulling my limp body from the wreckage. It was surreal watching them perform CPR on me. I wanted to tell them I was fine, that I was right there, but no words came out. Suddenly, I was enveloped in a warm, bright light. It wasn't blinding, but comforting, like being wrapped in a soft blanket. I felt myself being gently pulled towards it, away from the chaotic scene below. As I moved through the light, I felt an overwhelming sense of peace and love. All my worries, fears, and pain melted away. I had never felt so completely and utterly accepted. Then I saw him. Jesus stood before me, radiant and majestic. His presence was both awe-inspiring and comforting. He looked exactly as I had imagined, yet completely different at the same time. His eyes, filled with infinite love and wisdom, looked directly into mine. I felt as if he could see every part of me, my triumphs, my failures, my deepest secrets, and he loved me unconditionally. "Emily," he said, his voice resonating through my very being, "welcome." I was speechless for a moment, overwhelmed by his presence. A flood of emotions washed over me, joy, peace, awe, and a deep sense of homecoming. Then a flood of questions rushed through my mind, but one stood out above all others. "Jesus," I finally managed to say, my voice trembling with emotion, "when are you coming back? The world, it's in such turmoil. We need you now more than ever." He smiled gently, his eyes filled with compassion. "My child," he replied, his voice as soothing as a calm sea, "it is not for humans to know about that. That's why I said no one knows the exact day or hour of my return, not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father." I felt a pang of disappointment, but his next words captured my full attention. "However," he continued, placing a comforting hand on my shoulder, "I have shown you what will come to pass in the end times. Remember these signs, Emily, for they are important." As he spoke, visions began to unfold before me, each one more vivid than the last. It was as if we were standing in the midst of the events themselves, witnessing history, or rather the future, unfold before our eyes. First I saw nations rising against nations, armies clashing in terrible battles. The air was filled with the sounds of explosions and the cries of the wounded. Cities I recognized, New York, London, Tokyo, were engulfed in flames. I saw soldiers from countries I couldn't identify fighting in streets, jungles, and deserts. The scale of destruction was overwhelming. In one vision, I witnessed a massive naval battle in the South China Sea, with ships firing missiles at each other and planes dogfighting overhead. In another, I saw tanks rolling through European cities, their streets once filled with tourists, now battlegrounds. The Middle East was the inferno of conflict, with ancient holy sites reduced to rubble amidst the fighting. "Wars and rumors of wars," Jesus explained, his voice tinged with sadness. "These are just the beginning of the end times." He continued, "Nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. These conflicts will escalate beyond anything the world has seen before. But remember, when you hear of wars and rumors of wars, do not be alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come." Jesus elaborated, "You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but see to it that you are not alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come." Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of birth pains." The scene shifted, and I witnessed devastating earthquakes shaking entire cities, buildings crumbling like sand castles. I saw the ground splitting open, swallowing homes and people alike. In San Francisco, the Golden Gate Bridge collapsed into the bay as the earth shook. In Japan, I watched as a massive tsunami, taller than any skyscraper, swept away entire coastal towns. Then, the vision changed to show vast areas of parched earth, cracked and lifeless. I saw the Amazon rainforest, once lush and teeming with life, reduced to a barren wasteland. The Great Plains of America were dust bowls, crops withered and dead in the fields. In Africa, I witnessed entire villages abandoned as people fled the relentless advance of the desert. I saw people suffering from famine, their emaciated bodies a testament to their struggle for survival. Children with bloated bellies and hollow eyes looked at me, their gaze haunting and accusatory. In India, I saw masses of people fighting over meager food supplies, desperation driving them to violence. "Natural disasters will increase," he said. "Famines, earthquakes, and other calamities will become more frequent and severe." Jesus explained further, "There will be great earthquakes, famines, and pestilences in various places, and fearful events and great signs from heaven. These are the beginning of birth pains, the world groaning as creation itself longs for redemption." He added, "I tell you that he will avenge them speedily. Nevertheless, when the Son of Man comes, will he find faith on the earth?" Next, I saw charismatic figures drawing large crowds, performing what looked like miracles. They healed the sick, commanded the elements, and spoke with captivating eloquence. People fell at their feet in adoration. One man in particular stood out. He seemed to glow with an otherworldly light, and when he spoke, nations listened. I watched as this man addressed the United Nations, his words bringing world leaders to tears and moving them to action. He brokered peace deals that seemed impossible, solved economic crises with innovative solutions, and united people across religious and cultural divides. The world hailed him as a savior, a messiah for modern times, but something felt off about them. There was a coldness in their eyes, a hunger for power that belied their benevolent words. As I looked closer, I saw darkness lurking behind the miracles, a sinister force puppeteering these charismatic leaders. "False prophets will arise," Jesus warned. "They will deceive many with their teachings and apparent wonders. Be vigilant, Emily. Not all who claim to speak in my name truly do so." He elaborated, "For false messiahs and false prophets will appear and perform great signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even the elect. They will come in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ferocious wolves. By their fruit you will recognize them." Jesus continued, "At that time, if anyone says to you, 'Look, here is the Messiah,' or 'There he is,' do not believe it. For false messiahs and false prophets will appear and perform great signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even the elect. See, I have told you ahead of time." The vision changed again, showing people being arrested, beaten, and even killed for their faith. I saw secret gatherings in basements and caves, people worshipping in hushed tones, always looking over their shoulders in fear. I witnessed public executions of those who refused to renounce their faith in Christ. The brutality was horrifying, yet the faces of the martyrs shone with an inner peace that defied understanding. In China, I saw underground churches raided, their members dragged away to re-education camps. In the Middle East, Christians were being crucified in public squares, their deaths broadcast as warnings to others. Even in the West, I witnessed believers losing their jobs, their homes, and their freedoms for refusing to compromise their faith. "My followers will face persecution," he said solemnly. "They will be hated by all nations because of me, but those who stand firm to the end will be saved." Jesus continued, "You will be handed over to be persecuted and put to death, and you will be hated by all nations because of me. At that time, many will turn away from the faith and will betray and hate each other. But the one who stands firm to the end will be saved. This gospel of the kingdom will be preached in the whole world as a testimony to all nations, and then the end will come." He added, "Brother will betray brother to death, and a father his child. Children will rebel against their parents and have them put to death. Everyone will hate you because of me, but the one who stands firm to the end will be saved." I then witnessed scenes of violence, theft, and cruelty on a scale I had never imagined. Cities were in chaos, with looting and rioting becoming commonplace. People turned on each other, trust and compassion becoming rare commodities in a world gone mad. I saw families torn apart by betrayal, children turning against parents, and brothers fighting brothers. In one city, I saw neighbors who had lived peacefully, side by side for years, suddenly turning on each other, fighting over dwindling resources. In another, I witnessed a mob storming a hospital, desperate for medicine and care. The scenes of depravity and desperation were heart-wrenching. "Wickedness will increase," Jesus explained, his voice heavy with sorrow. "The love of many will grow cold as lawlessness abounds." He added, "People will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boastful, proud, abusive, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful, unholy, without love, unforgiving, slanderous, without self-control, brutal, not lovers of the good, treacherous, rash, conceited, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, having a form of godliness but denying its power." Jesus continued, "But mark this, there will be terrible times in the last days. People will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boastful, proud, abusive, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful, unholy, without love, unforgiving, slanderous, without self-control, brutal, not lovers of the good, treacherous, rash, conceited, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, having a form of godliness but denying its power. Have nothing to do with such people." But amidst this darkness, I saw a glimmer of hope. People from all corners of the world were hearing about Jesus, many for the first time. I saw missionaries braving dangerous territories, technology being used to spread the message to the farthest reaches of the globe. Despite the persecution, the message of love and salvation was spreading like wildfire. I witnessed mass baptisms in rivers, secret Bible studies in oppressive countries, and underground churches growing exponentially. In China, despite intense persecution, the church was growing faster than ever before. In the Middle East, Muslims were having dreams and visions of Jesus, leading to a wave of conversions. In the West, disillusioned by the emptiness of materialism, people were turning to Christ in record numbers. "The gospel will be preached to all nations," he said, a note of triumph in his voice. "This must happen before the end comes." Jesus elaborated, "And this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in the whole world as a testimony to all nations, and then the end will come. The Spirit and the bride say, 'Come,' and let the one who hears say, 'Come.' Let the one who is thirsty come, and let the one who wishes take the free gift of the water of life." He added, "Therefore go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you. And surely I am with you always, to the very end of the age." Finally, I saw the sun darkening, the moon turning blood red, and stars falling from the sky. The very fabric of the universe seemed to be unraveling. People were looking up in terror, realizing that something beyond their understanding was happening. The earth shook violently, mountains crumbled, and islands disappeared beneath the waves. I watched as the sky rolled up like a scroll, revealing a realm beyond our physical universe. The stars fell like figs dropping from a tree, each impact causing catastrophic destruction on the earth below. The moon turned a deep, ominous red, as if drenched in blood, while the sun's light failed, plunging the world into an eerie twilight. There will be signs in the heavens, Jesus concluded. The powers of the heavens will be shaken. He continued, immediately after the distress of those days, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light. The stars will fall from the sky, and the heavenly bodies will be shaken. Then will appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then all the peoples of the earth will mourn when they see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. Jesus added, there will be signs in the sun, moon, and stars. On the earth, nations will be in anguish and perplexity at the roaring and tossing of the sea. People will faint from terror, apprehensive of what is coming on the world, for the heavenly bodies will be shaken. At that time they will see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. When these things begin to take place, stand up and lift up your heads, because your redemption is drawing near. As the visions faded, I looked at Jesus, my mind reeling from all I had seen. The weight of the knowledge he had shared pressed heavily upon me. "Why are you showing me all this?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "Because you asked, Emily," he replied gently, his eyes full of love and understanding, "and because you have a purpose to fulfill when you return." "Return," I echoed, suddenly realizing what he meant. A wave of panic washed over me. "But I don't want to leave you. This place, it's perfect. There's so much pain and suffering back there. Can't I stay here with you?" Jesus smiled, his love enveloping me once more. It was a love so pure and complete that it made my heart ache. "Your time here is not yet, my child. You have more to do, more lives to touch. Remember what you've seen and share it with others. Help them prepare their hearts for my return." I wanted to protest, to beg him to let me stay, but I knew in my heart that he was right. There was still work for me to do, but the thought of leaving this perfect peace, of returning to the pain and uncertainty of life, filled me with dread. "I'm afraid," I admitted, feeling ashamed of my fear in his presence. "Fear not," he said, his voice filled with reassurance. "I am with you always, even to the end of the age. The road ahead may be difficult, but you do not walk it alone." He continued, "In this world you will have trouble, but take heart. I have overcome the world, and surely I am with you always, to the very end of the age." Jesus added, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid." His words filled me with a courage I had never known before. I straightened my shoulders, ready to face whatever lay ahead. "Will I remember all of this?" I asked, already feeling the warm light beginning to fade around us. "You will remember what you need to," he assured me. "Now go, Emily. Live your life with purpose and love. Share the hope you found here. Be a light in the darkness." He added, "Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. For you were once darkness, but now you are light in the Lord. Live as children of light." With those words, I felt myself being pulled back. The light faded, and suddenly I was gasping for air, my eyes flying open to see the concerned faces of paramedics hovering over me. "She's back!" one of them shouted, relief evident in his voice. "It's a miracle." As they rushed me to the hospital, my mind was a whirlwind of emotions and memories. The accident, the light, Jesus, the visions, it all seemed so vivid yet so distant, like a dream slipping away upon waking. But the love I had felt, the peace that had enveloped me, those feelings lingered, a balm to my battered body and spirit. In the days and weeks that followed, as I recovered from my injuries, I couldn't stop thinking about my experience, the peace I had felt in Jesus' presence, the love that had surrounded me. It was unlike anything I had ever known, and the visions he had shown me of the end times, they felt more real and urgent than ever. I knew I couldn't keep this experience to myself. As soon as I was well enough, I started sharing my story with anyone who would listen. My message was simple: seek Jesus now. Prepare your heart. Live each day with purpose and love, knowing that he could return at any moment. My name is Emily Thompson, and this is my story. But more importantly, It's a call to action for all of us. Are you ready for his return? Now that you know about when Jesus comes back, your journey into the mysteries of the afterlife is just beginning. Up next, you absolutely have to hear about the woman who died and went to heaven, where she met someone so shocking it's not what you think. This story will challenge everything you thought you knew about the afterlife. Click the video on your screen now. You won't believe what's waiting for you on the other side.